Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. Head on over to squarespace.com/pogobat for a 14-day free trial. Hey everybody, I received this email from YouTube username SFRobertsDickClark. I think it would be interesting to start a discussion about the potential Republican opponents to Barack Obama in 2012 and which we would most like to see run against him insofar as wanting one who could offer a genuinely attractive alternative. I think it's important to frame the debate around what would be good for America and the world, not just who would be easiest for Barack Obama to beat. Basically, if one of these opponents was to beat Barack Obama, who would we want it to be? Thank you, sir, for the email. Thank you for the topic. I am a big political nerd. I've kind of been itching to talk about this for a while, and I particularly like the way that you frame the discussion. Because, full disclosure, I'm a Democrat. I voted for Obama in 2008. I still very much like Barack Obama, and unless something drastic happens in between now and the election, I'm probably going to vote for him again. When it comes to discussing potential opponents to Barack Obama, I am biased because I want them all to lose. But for the sake of answering your question, for the sake of this discussion, I am going to try to be as neutral as possible. As a Republican looking at the 2012 election, it's gonna be an uphill battle, no matter what. I mean, regardless of how you feel about the guy, Barack Obama is pretty indisputably in a very, very strong political position. On the domestic side of things, he had a huge victory with healthcare, and right now he's working on education and immigration reform, making those issues his own. On the foreign policy side of things, he got bin Laden. We're in the middle of 2 wars, and historically speaking, Americans do not like switching presidents in the middle of wars. The grassroots organization that propelled the Obama campaign to victory in 2008 is still very much in place. They expect to be able to raise over $1 billion for this campaign. I mean, no one's going to be able to compete with that. The election is still over a year away, and a year is an eternity in political time, so anything could happen. But I don't think it's a biased thing to say that Obama has a pretty clear advantage. So pretending to be a Republican, a rational Republican who's not in denial about the fact that my party's at a disadvantage, the way I see it, there are 2 basic strategies we can use. The first strategy would be to just go all out, to nominate a conservative, charismatic candidate who could rally the Republican Party's base, highlight differences between themselves and Obama, and just try to win by brute force. A few candidates that would fit into that strategy pretty well, I think, would be like, say, Donald Trump, Sarah Palin, maybe Michelle Bachmann. But that's a very high-risk, high-reward strategy, and I think with the political climate as it is right now, the risk side of things outweighs the reward side of things. I mean, there's definitely a chance that the strategy could work. If the Republicans dominate the media narrative and turn the tide of public opinion, they could win the White House on a wave. But I think a more likely outcome from that strategy would be a further distancing of the Republican Party from where the American people's heads are at right now. I mean, Palin, Bachmann, Trump, and their ilk, they put on a good show. And if we were electing a showman, they'd do pretty well. But we're electing the leader of the free world. And I think that in nominating a candidate like that, the Republican Party runs a serious risk of just handing the election to Barack Obama on a silver platter, possibly even with a mandate. I think a better strategy for Republicans would be to nominate someone relatively moderate, someone who's willing to admit where Obama has done things well, but also highlight some serious differences and appeal to America's great big chewy political center. And there are a few candidates that stand out to me as being in a position to do that. So let's go down the list. Ron Paul. Ron Paul's libertarian spin on Republican politics is something that really resonates with a lot of America's big juicy political center. And so if he gets the nomination, I think he could be a force to be reckoned with. He appeals to youngins like us, which is something that most Republicans really struggle to do. He uses the internet better than any other Republican candidate. He has proven that he is able to raise a lot of money very quickly. But this go-round, in 2012, I just can't see him winning the Republican nomination. He's too socially liberal for the socially conservative base of the Republican Party. I mean, over the course of the next 10 to 20 years, I think the Republican Party is going to gradually trend more and more libertarian, and then there might be an opening for a Ron Paul-esque candidate. But I don't think it's going to happen this time. I just don't. Mitt Romney is an interesting option. While Mitt comes across as a bit bit of a cheeseball. He does have bona fide conservative business credentials, and it looks like he's going to be able to raise more money than just about any other Republican out there. The thing that's most interesting about the Romney candidacy, though, and it's going to be very interesting to see how he plays this, is that when he was governor of Massachusetts, he passed a healthcare bill that is very, very similar to the healthcare law that was passed under Obama. And now most Republicans are railing against Obama's healthcare plan, but should Romney stand by his support of healthcare in Massachusetts, it might make it more difficult for him to win the Republican nomination, but should he be able to win the Republican nomination anyway, it might provide a little bit of solidarity with Obama, a little bit of, I don't know, cordialness? Is that a word? It could provide Romney an opportunity to say, look, just because we disagree on most things doesn't mean we disagree on everything. And I think that could warm him up to a lot of political moderates who hate how much of a deathmatch politics always seems to be. So Romney's interesting, Paul is interesting. There are a lot of other potential Republican candidates that I don't have time to go into right now, but I do want to touch on one more. I have one more Republican candidate who is my personal favorite Republican candidate I want to talk about. His name is Jon Huntsman. Jon Huntsman Jr. is the former Republican governor of the state of Utah, but more recently he served as the United States ambassador to China under, get this, President Barack Obama. If Jon Huntsman should run, and if Jon Huntsman should get the Republican nomination, he would be running for president against his former boss, which I think strikes the perfect balance for Republicans this go-round. On the one hand, the fact that he was willing to work for Obama shows that when it makes sense, he's willing to put politics aside to do what's best for the country, and I think that's a great play for America's big, juicy political center. While on the other hand, the fact that he's willing to quit working for the president to run for president against the president is just the right amount of rebellion to appeal to the Republican base. So the fact that he used to work for Obama, that's one thing. But another thing is that he is in a position to completely own the issue of what should the United States do about China? China is growing rapidly, bringing people out of poverty rapidly. They produce a lot of stuff, we consume a lot of stuff. Our relationship with them is very important, but it's going to be changing, and we don't know exactly what that means, and I think it's going to be the predominant foreign policy issue of the next couple of decades, probably. The Republican Party has lost a lot of credibility over the last few years. The world largely sees them as kind of a sideshow, a group of politicians who care more about politics than actually getting important things done. This is a chance for them to change that perception. This is a chance for them to take ownership of a serious issue that no one has had the gall to take serious ownership of. Huntsman is fluent in Chinese. He has an adopted Chinese daughter. I mean, it may or may not be enough to win in the 2012 general election, but at the very least, it forwards a debate. It brings this issue into the American consciousness. The odds are stacked against the Republicans in 2012 to a point where, I mean, the reality of the situation is that they are probably going to lose no matter what. But how they go about their likely defeat has serious implications for future elections. If they go out kicking and screaming with a Donald Trump-esque candidate, I have serious doubts about really the future of the Republican Party. But if Republicans can lose gracefully and can use the 2012 election as a way to be taken a bit more seriously by the American people, I really honestly would not be surprised if we saw a Republican president as soon as 2016. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the 2012 presidential election, potential Republican nominees. I am very curious now to know what you think. Please post a comment or a video response. This video right here has been made possible by Squarespace. Squarespace is the fast and easy way to create a high-quality blog, portfolio, or any sort of website. Every member has access to amazing customer support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can start your website by choosing from over 5 dozen professionally designed templates and then customize it from there. And then you can add content from your computer, your iPhone, your iPad. I mean, Squarespace has some mobile apps that make updating from anywhere a piece of cake. Many Many of the web's highest trafficked sites are powered by Squarespace, so check out squarespace.com/pogobat to learn more and to sign up for a 2-week free trial. Anywho, that just about does it for me for today. Thank you so very much for watching this video. Remember to like it. If you think you might want to watch this again at some point in the future, remember to favorite it. And yeah, until next time, I'm out.
If you like what you just saw, if Dan put you in a state of awe, subscribe to him and click the orange button. It really means something. If you do that, that'd be really cool.